intentions to ask throughout a campaign with the confidence rising. I told WDF don't switch, good times are coming on even deep diving. Fan cams, reactions, watch alongs to the pride of London thriving. The Eagles of South they flying. Keep your eyes on us, we ain't hiding.
Hey everyone, it's Dan, okay, down to 10, just on Transfer Weekly, a weekly show that JC does through the transfer windows, or well, when the season's finished. They're all absolutely class, so if you haven't seen any of these before, go and check them out, the previous ones, or if you want more up-to-date ones, JC releases these every week. So yeah, make sure you pay attention to any new videos coming out, and I hope you enjoyed the rest of this video, or the beginning, wherever you are in it. So I'm talking about the updates on Daichi Kamada and Chadi Riyad, and also just the contract updates on retaining players, youth players, and senior players. So obviously all the senior players were given new contracts, apart from James Tompkins and Jairo Riedewald. I'd say it's probably not that surprising. I think Jairo has obviously not made as many appearances as maybe we'd have liked him to. I think, in my opinion, I think that's just because I think he's got the technical ability, but he's just a bit slow on the ball. James Tompkins obviously getting old. I thought he was brilliant when it was him and Sacco in that centre-back partnership. And in terms of maybe some people who are retained, that maybe might have been a little bit of a surprise. Mainly, I guess you could maybe argue Nathaniel Klein or Joel Ward. I mean, in my opinion, I think Klein especially have done fantastic jobs in that right centre-back role. So I think it only makes sense just to keep them on for a year. And also both of them, as far as I'm aware, aren't on huge wages. So as depth, if we're trying to push for European football season after next, I think absolutely we need that depth, and we need to be able to rotate players. I mean, I think under Roy, we were so used to having the same 11 pretty much every game that we kind of forgot that depth is a very important thing, especially now that there's a lot more added time and the ball is in play on the pitch far longer than it was before. Before it was around about 60 minutes. Now it's, well, theoretically it should be about 80, 90. So you're playing effectively 33% more football, and that depth is so important for that. So we don't get injuries, we don't get burnout. Remy Matthews was also renewed. I've seen people, not many, but a couple people question it on Twitter. In my opinion, I think it's it's a third choice goalkeeper. First choice goalkeepers are rarely ever going to get any first team football. I mean, even look at City, their third choice goalkeeper, Scott Carson. I don't know the last time he actually played a game. And Remy Matthews as well, he's a homegrown player, so that satisfies part of the registration rules for the Premier League, so that's a positive, and is obviously something that's very important. Because obviously if we breach those rules, then you might have to put an academy player in there instead of a first team player, and obviously that has various negative repercussions. Now moving on to Daichi Kamada and Chadi Riyad. As far as I'm aware, they're pretty much done deals. As far as I'm aware, Fabrizio Romano, well, I mean, it's probably a bit of a B list these days, but they've had medicals as far as I'm aware, and they'll be looking to move to Palace when the transfer window opens on the 14th of June, which, don't know about you, I think the fact that they're moving so quickly for so many players, to me, it's just, I don't recognise this club anymore. Having two players already lined up for when the window opens on the 14th of June, I think that's incredible. And also, I'm sure it's been mentioned before, but Chadi Riyad is a young player who came through Barcelona, so must be pretty decent. And then obviously moved to Real Betis and on loan, and then we've bought him for about 13 million euros, including add-ons, I believe. So he's got something to prove. In terms of where he'll be, will he be starting necessarily straight away? I don't think so. I think he'll just be providing competition initially, moving on to hopefully try and take someone's place. And then we also have Daichi Kamada. He's a Japanese international, played against Myanmar in the friendlies not too long ago. They've actually released a new shirt, Japan. So if you want to get a Kamada shirt, he was number 8 in those games. Obviously, he played under Glasner at Frankfurt, won the Europa League, was a very key cog in that. especially in Europe as well. So not only do we have Eze and Elise at the moment, we've also got Kamada, we've got França, and I know that we're looking to potentially sign some more players like Joby Bellingham, but obviously I won't touch on them too much. And then finally, I'm just going to talk about the youth team now. So the youth team, we've got 4 people who were released, unfortunately. Firstly, Noah Watson and Ago. To be honest, I didn't see them feature huge amounts in the youth team, so I'm not hugely surprised that they've been let go. The most high-profile name is probably John Comini Gordon, who's obviously been on loan at various places. In my opinion, I think he's 22 within the next 12 months, so technically he wouldn't be able to play in the under-21s anymore anyway. And I think he's definitely not Premier League level. And obviously it's a shame because obviously we've seen him all come through the ranks at Palace, and we want them to do well. But obviously wish him all the best of luck wherever he goes. Hopefully he can find somewhere perhaps in the lower leagues and then work his way back up, similar to what Freddie Ladapo did at Ipswich. So all the best of luck to him. Finally, Fonte Williams. I thought it was a bit of a surprise to me. I know he had a couple of injury problems, but I thought he looked quite good in the Premier League International Cup. Yeah, but then we don't know the terms of it. No, he wasn't. He wasn't offered. Yeah, it was a bit of a surprise with that one. But everyone else has been retained. And to be fair, I'm hoping some of them do eventually break through into the first team, or at the very least, renewing these players and building them up. At least that would mean that we can potentially sell them for maybe like $1 million, or maybe slightly less than that, to a lower league club perhaps. But we shall see. Anyways, thank you very much for watching this section. Like I said, JC does these every week. They're quality, so give them a watch. Sorry. Yeah, I hope you enjoy the rest of the video. I've got some great features coming up.
How's it going, everyone? It's Nate here from Eagle-Eyed Football, here to give you the lowdown on Bailey Deppa, the 17-year-old striker currently at Port Vale. Now, Bailey Deppa scored 3 times in the 2023-2024 season and got 2 assists, and was involved in 23% of Port Vale's games. He had a 23% minutes ratio in terms of how much he was on the pitch. So at such a very young and tender age, at 17 years of age, you'd imagine that Bailey Deppa will be very much one for the future. Now, according to various sources, he is linked with the likes of Manchester United, Newcastle United, and very tenuously Crystal Palace. Now, obviously, Palace do have a proven track record of bringing through talent from the Football League into the Premier League, such as Eberechi Eze, Michael Elise, and Adam Wharton, and Mark Gay, and Conor Gallagher, just to name 5. So what is known about Bailey Deppa? Well, he is a Port Vale Academy graduate and has not played at any other football club in the league system. He made his debut for the club this season, and as I said at the start of the video, he scored 3 times and assisted twice. Very much raw, very much one for the future, but one that you would believe Palace could get over the line if Palace get in on the ground floor and beat the likes of Manchester United and Newcastle United to the punch by securing his signature. Now, obviously, from a Port Vale standpoint, they're going to look at it and say that his contract isn't up until 2026. So it's looking likely that Palace will have to pay a fair bit of money to bring him to SE25. Would I sign him? Yeah, I think our proven track record of bringing through young talent out of the Football League speaks for itself. I'll freely admit I don't watch Championship or League One football, so I'm not going to wax lyrical about someone I haven't really watched closely, but he is definitely a player that it wouldn't hurt to see what he could do if Palace were brave enough to take a punt on him. But that remains to be seen. So ideally, Bailey Deppa could be very much one for the future, and obviously there's a bit of a space now in the squad for another striker with the imminent departure of John Comini Gordon, who will be leaving Crystal Palace at the end of the month.
Big up everyone, and big up JC for allowing me to contribute to Transfer Weekly this week. Now, we're going to discuss a player in Matías Soulé, who's an attacking midfielder, normally plays on the right wing, but can play up front too. And he was just on loan at Serie A club Frosinone, on loan from Juventus. Now, the Argentine has once again been linked with a move to Crystal Palace. Now, this rumor first surfaced at the back end of last season, when obviously the rumours about Michael Olise going to Chelsea and that £35 million release clause for etc. came about. So it's a player that we've been looking at for quite some time. Now, reported by the Palace Way, they understand that Crystal Palace are pushing for this winger, as he is the preferred target to replace Michael Olise long term. Now, in a previous short, that we had stated that reports were unsure about this deal because of the time frame of it as well, and also due to the uncertainty of Michael Olise's future. So basically, the club would love to be able to do this business early, as it will be cheaper. However, there are factors that may impose on this. Number one, they may only be able to do this if Michael Olise leaves. And two, if Olise decides to stay, would Soule want to join and sit on the bench? We don't know. This is all speculation as it stands, so let's see what happens. But let's look a little bit further into Matías Soulé. So he signed for Juventus on a free transfer. And on the 10th of September, first team manager Allegri decided to include Soulé in the matchday squad for their Serie A game against Napoli. Now, at 19 years old, this shows how much potential Soulé has, because of a manager of Allegri's calibre to include him in the matchday squad against a very, very good Napoli side says all about his promise. But his most prominent season was the 23-24 season, which was last season, where he was at Frosinone, and where he finished the campaign with 11 goals and 3 assists. He's a technically gifted winger who has gained comparisons to his fellow compatriot Angel Di Maria. Now, to me, he has a very similar playing style to Michael Olise. I personally think Olise has better passing range and he's a better passer of the ball, but his technical ability isn't too far off our French maestro. Soule, he loves to run with the ball. He has incredible close control. His balance is impeccable. You know, he will stand up his opponents, you know, and he'll just do a body feint to be able to manipulate the football and shift the ball to beat a man. You know, and if he's given the chance, he will cut in and have a shot. You know, he also has an eye for a killer pass. And that's a great attribute to have, especially in this Glasner system that we're building. You know, there's a goal in particular, and I believe it was against AC Milan, where it's kind of similar to the goal that we scored against Leeds at Ellen Road. You know, he dribbles towards the edge of the box, and he picks out a pass, a through ball, which takes out 4 AC Milan players. You know, another example is, and once again with these similarities, it's similar to like Wharton's pass to Eze away at Nottingham Forest. So as you can see from the images here, another example, and once again with these comparisons, this is similar to Adam Wharton's pass to Eze away at Nottingham Forest. Now, as you can see here from the images, Soule shifts the ball to gain a half a yard, and then he plays about 20 to 30 yard through ball, you know, where the striker or the player that was running through strikes the ball, hits the post, and it rebounds, and the rebound's tucked away. But just the ability to see these passes in advance and to execute them just shows how much of a talent he is. He's also not afraid to express himself, and this will definitely bode well in an Oliver Glasner system. Because Oliver Glasner, as you could tell, he wants us to score goals, he wants us to be progressive, he wants us to be brave, express ourselves, but also make sure that we're moving the ball forwards up the field and quickly. You know, and then in these images, there's a game where he definitely expresses himself. He gets the ball just inside of his own half, and not only does he knock it over one player, he knocks it over 2. You know, kind of like Ronaldinho, he's done that in the past before. Not comparing the 2 players, by the way, but just saying that's something that he's done in the past. So all these attributes will make him very, very difficult to defend against. And you know what? It's a great, great acquisition if we can pull this off. So overall, I think personally he'll be an amazing signing for Palace, but that is only if Olise leaves. If we somehow manage to do the unthinkable and to sign him and keep Olise, that will be a massive statement from the club. That 1, we're definitely looking to push for bigger and better things, but 2, we're also addressing that squad depth that has been lacking for many years. at Crystal Palace. So yeah, I'd love him to sign as soon as possible. Because what I don't want to happen is if Michael does decide to leave towards the back end of the season, the window, then Juventus are going to think, Palace have a lot of money. You know, so it's better if we try and get this done over the line sooner rather than later to get it at a cheaper price. Now, not only that, if Michael does decide to stay, you know, it'd be great to get Soulé in because we don't know what Michael Olise is going to come back as after the Olympics. You know, the last time he was away on the international duty, he picked up a severe hamstring injury. And even if he is to come back fit, he won't have a pre-season and he may miss the first couple of games of the season because obviously he has to get himself up to speed. So Soulé will be an adequate replacement. So yeah, guys, as per usual, having squad depth is never a bad thing, and we'll see what happens in the upcoming weeks with Matías Soulé. So that wraps up Transfer Weekly episode 2. Big up everyone. Please don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and remember, drop in the comment section any player you'd like us to cover next week. So as always, big up to you, and as always, up the Palace. Here he goes.